Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. If you've been paying attention to some other content creators on YouTube over the weekend, you know that we just had Jake and Chris from Dude Ranch DIY here. We had Elliot from Everything Elliot and Phil from Woods Tree Farm here, and we ran the Evo this week and everybody wanted to try it. And with that, we pretty much depleted our pile of logs here that are all groomed and ready to go for the Evo. So we got to do something about that here today. Our supply of logs that we took out of our woods a couple years ago is quickly diminishing with having that Evo here on site, and we don't have too much left, which is a good thing because I want to get through these logs so I can go ahead and order a nice fresh triaxle load of fresh green logs. Some of these logs are starting to have seen their better days. They're still good firewood here, but the outsides of them, the outer 1 inch or so, is starting to get a little bit punky. A lot of that is flaking off and chipping off as it's going through the splitting wedge, and it's creating a lot more mess than I think green logs would. But yeah, we probably had between 10 and 15 triaxle loads that we had taken out of our woods, and we probably have maybe 2 left. So what we're going to do today is go ahead and pull a lot of this stuff out, get it cut down to size, get any knots trimmed off, any big crooked logs we'll pull out and set off to the side, and pull out all the stuff that we can take over to the Evo and get run through. And for that kind of work, we've got 2 new saws to try out here. A buddy of mine that I actually went to high school with happens to be a territory manager or a regional manager for Husqvarna, and he dropped off this new Husqvarna 542i XP. I really have been wanting to try a battery saw down here by the processor just because it's so handy. You're not going to be bucking wood all day long. When you have a processor, you're just going to be doing some light trimming here and there. And I think that's where a battery saw could shine. And then on the other end of the spectrum, he also just happened to drop off a 592 XP, which that's just going to be fun to run. So let's go ahead and get both of these saws into some wood and get some wood moved up here to the Evo. All right, so we got some logs laid out here. Let's go ahead and try out this Husqvarna 542i battery saw. We'll start small and then we'll go right to the big guy. So we need to cut this little knot off here. I think it's like a laser beam. Now granted, that's a brand new chain, but man, that cut well. Let's try it on this big beech log here and see what it does. Now, I don't know if you can tell or not, but this beech log here is borderline too big for the Easton made Evo. But let's stick this little battery saw in it and see how it does. You can tell we've got one big long straight pole here, and then it crooks off to the left here, so we're going to cut it right there and make it ready for the Evo. There we go. Little battery saw cut through. Let me get a tape measure and see how big this log was. 18-inch log right there. Not bad for a little battery powered saw. Obviously that's not what this thing was designed for, but at least now you know it can do it. Tell you what, this thing's like a little lightsaber. Nice and lightweight, easy to handle, and the best part is in between cuts it's not running. You don't have to keep starting and stopping it. I like this little thing. And out of all the cuts we've made, we've only used half bar, or half the battery, and it looks like it actually has a little oil indicator light on it. I wonder if we're low on bar oil. I bet you we are. That's pretty cool. Let's check to see if that is a low oil level indicator light. That would be pretty cool. Oh yeah, sure enough, bone dry. That is the first chainsaw I've ever seen that has a little indicator light up here on the dash to tell you when you're low on bar oil. I like that. Alright, let's see what this new 592 XP is all about. One thing's for sure, it's loud. Got the earmuffs. That thing is ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, this saw is probably a little bit overkill for what I'm doing here right now. It's a little heavy, but man, is that fun to run. And especially with, actually, you know what, I take that back, because this thing has a 28-inch bar on it. I'm not bending over at all. I'm keeping my arms fully locked out, and I'm just letting the weight of the saw run through the log. So really, if you're using it ergonomically, it's actually not that heavy. I like it. All right, we are back in business with the Eastimate Evo for a little while. Got our log pile all restocked here. That should keep us busy for a little while. That is my typical process when I am working by myself, is have the excavator down there by the log pile, set out about 5 or 10 logs or so, get them all cut up to length, get all the knots and stuff peeled off of them, and then carry them up here. It does go a little bit quicker if I have a second person, somebody outside the machine running the saw. And then that way you don't have to worry about the log pinching on the saw at all, because I will keep the log up in the air, and then the person cutting can just straight lop them right off without having to worry about any pinch points or anything. It goes much faster with 2 people, but still able to do it by yourself and get a log pile up here. Here's a quick look at how much is left from our log pile from the logs that we had thinned out of our woods. We are getting down there. It's amazing when you have the right piece of equipment how quickly the log pile goes. This pile was from here all the way out to there for the better part of 2 years, and ever since the Evo showed up, we have just whittled our way down through here in the last 2 months. Like I said, having the right piece of equipment makes things go a lot quicker. So yeah, I think another day or 2 of cutting down here, get all this stuff cut to size, moved up to the Evo up there, and this stuff should be gone and we should be ready to get a fresh load of logs. As far as the Husqvarna saws that we got to try out here today, there's really not much to say other than they were both awesome. I mean, I think you guys probably expected that. 2 brand new saws from Husqvarna. The 592 is a beast. The 542i XP, the battery powered saw, I mean, I showed you guys that it would go through an 18-inch log. It probably wouldn't be my first saw of choice for an 18-inch log, or if you're bucking up firewood or anything like that. But I think for down here around the processor, it's a pretty good choice for taking knots off real quick, or you know, cutting 8, 10, 12-inch logs in half or something like that. It does work really well because you don't have to start and stop it. You just push a button and it's ready to rock and roll. So I liked both of those saws. Typically for a job like this, I think probably the ideal saw would be like a 562 or a 572, just kind of that middle of the ground saw. But hey, all of them worked. And I'll tell you what, that 28-inch bar on the 592, I actually kind of really like that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.